For CSIT 321, our group has chosen to build a recipes app. In this app, you can create recipes in simple steps and share them with your friends and the world. Our app is called Green Eggs. Our main consideration when building a design system for our app was to make the app feel friendly. This led us to build our design system around the existing Eva design system. This highly customizable design system for web and mobile provides us with some basic components and icons and gives us a framework to expand with our own fonts and colors. Our logo was designed with our app name in mind and features a green egg. We used simple colors, bright and non-offensive, in order to create a friendly appeal. From the color palette of this logo, we built the color palette for the rest of our design system. Eva Design System encourages picking a brand color as well as colors for success, info, warning, and danger. UI components in our design system will use these colors to help display their intent to the user. We decided that our app must meet the WCAG AA guidelines and have made sure to enforce this throughout our designs. Green Eggs will be deployed on iOS and Android. Therefore, the application was designed with the help of the Human Interface Guidelines for iOS and Android, which can be found online. To summarize, the design adheres to clarity themes with legible text and icons that are purposeful. Aspects of the design also highlight the important content through different colors and shades. Additionally, there is consistency to the text styles, color, and icons throughout the app alongside with the use of uniform terminology. The UI is also accessible with a clear color contrast between different elements of the interface. Upon launching the app for the first time, the first screen the user sees is the Authentication Screen. This screen features a Create Account button, Continue as Guest button, and then some single sign-on buttons. The Create Account button is made the primary action on this page, since it is important that new users can find this button without any mental effort. Existing users will be more willing to make the mental effort to find the de-emphasized login button. Our single sign-on buttons are separated via a divider component, and the buttons themselves are themed using brand colors and logos for the services they represent. On this login page, there is a simple login form with inputs for email and password. Our forms are designed with short-term memory in mind, and so we have made sure to avoid using placeholders as labels and have included icons for each form input. On this sign-up page, there is a sign-up form with inputs for email, names, and password. Once a user has been authenticated, they are navigated to the home page of the app. This page introduces the user to the main navigation system of the app, our navigation bar. The primary action of this navigation bar is the Create Recipe button. This is a common design pattern for mobile apps, whereby the primary action button of a navigation bar is centered, larger, and highlighted. The only other noteworthy design pattern on this notification bar is the unread indicator for notifications that is present when there are new notifications. Focusing back on the home page, the top part of this view includes a search bar and the brand logo, and the bottom part of this view includes a secondary navigation system. This tab navigation system includes the sections newsfeed, trending, and categories. The newsfeed tab contains a list of recipe cards tailored to that specific user, as it features recipes from followed accounts. The trending tab contains a list of recipe cards that have the highest like count in the last 24 hours. The categories tab contains a list of categories that the user can narrow down recipes by. Returning to the top part of this view, we see the search bar. When the user taps on this bar, they are taken to a recipe search view, where they can type the name of a recipe or a user and they will appear in the list below. Recipes and users can both be sorted by relevant, top, and new using a drop-down menu. Search results for recipes and users can be swapped between using the tab navigation. Recipes can also be filtered using a more complex system. For a demonstration, if you type quiche into the search bar, it will provide a list of the most relevant quiche recipes on the app at that moment. In the top right-hand corner, there was a filter icon to help refine a user's search. We designed filtering to be extremely powerful, so we allow users to filter by ingredients, categories, allergies, diets, and cook time. This is an example of user-centered design, as we want to cater to users with all kinds of religions, diets, allergies, and food preferences. As an example of how this interface can be used, a user can choose to filter for quiche recipes with spinach included. By selecting this ingredient and adding it to the filter, it will only display quiche recipes that have spinach in them. The same design is used for the rest of the filters. Additionally to this, if you wanted to only show recipes in the brunch category, the same steps will be followed. When you are finished adding filters, apply them and a new list of recipes will be generated which adheres to the filters you provided. When a user wants to create a new recipe, they navigate to the Add Recipe screen via the primary button on the navigation bar. This brings the user to a 5-step wizard where they can create a recipe. Instead of using a traditional stepper component, we have chosen to use a more mobile-friendly version with a visual progress indicator and a previous and next button. In the first step, the user must add a list of ingredients for the recipe along with information about what quantity is needed and units. The user can add as many ingredients as required for the recipe. The user can then move on to creating the steps of the recipe with the ability to provide a short title, detailed step description, and a cover photo if they choose, followed by adding categories, diets, and allergens to help filter the recipe and make people aware of what type of recipe it might be. Once everything has been finalized, the user can enter a recipe title and a description and select an eye-catching cover photo of the final product. The user is then presented with privacy and publishing options and can, of course, save it to edit or post later. With the recipe creation being a form, mainly form and navigation design patterns were utilized. The recipe creation can be seen as a wizard as it steps the user through subtasks to create the recipe. The recipe creation is structured with heading and input boxes of the same style throughout. The input boxes have placeholder values to hint the user at what should be entered. Throughout the process, the current progress through the wizard is highlighted with the steps remaining and completeness indicator. Lastly, we included a preference settings UI pattern to outline the settings for the recipe post. All patterns are relevant and should provide a familiar interface for the user to be able to easily and quickly create a recipe. When a user wants to view a recipe, they can navigate to it by tapping a recipe card somewhere in the app. This view consists of a cover image, a recipe details card, an alert for potential allergies and diet conflicts, a horizontal scrolling list of category tags, an accordion for ingredients with a drop-down for serving size, a card carousel for the actual recipe directions, and finally an accordion for comments. You can expand the recipe details card, revealing a recipe description view. You can also expand the ingredients accordion like so. Users can reply to comments, which opens them in a new view. When a user wants to look at their profile, they can do so by tapping the profile icon in the navbar. This view contains the user avatar, description, statistics, and a list of their recipes. When looking at another user's profile, the edit button turns into a follow button. Users can find friends by entering this view. Here they can search all users and import users from their Facebook, Google, and Twitter contacts. This is where the user finds their settings. Here they can edit their profile, change their password, connect accounts, sign out, delete their account, set their dietary and allergy preferences, and update their privacy settings. These views use design patterns previously mentioned, such as drop-down menus, alerts, and color intents. Finally, users can receive notifications on their phone and can view them through the notifications section. The notifications interface uses an activity stream design pattern that allows a user to keep up to date with the latest activity on their profile. This involves receiving alerts for likes and comments on recipes and new followers or follow requests.